Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open Crime Market Commentary for the week of October 31st. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and just coming to you with the outlook for the markets this week. The markets have been closed for the first 2 days of the week due to some poor weather and storms in New York. And so they're open today, and so we'll take a look at what's on tap here for the remainder of the week. So taking a look at the ES futures here in the big cap stocks and starting with some of the higher time frames. We're right at the end of the month, so we're going to get a closeout at the end of the day of this monthly candle right here for the month of October, which is looking fairly bearish on the monthly chart. As we move over to the weekly chart, we can see that we had a consolidation here for the last month or so, and then we finally got that very bearish candle, got a break of the low at that level right around 14.19, and came down basically about as far as like 13.94. Something right around there. And so we're right back in the buy zone on the weekly chart, and it looks like we're getting a setup candle, or at least a small bullish candle right there in the buy zone on the weekly chart, but we still have 2 days for that to close out. So there's no trade on based on that chart, but as we come down to the daily chart, we're starting to get some fairly bullish candles here, and as you go down to like the 240 chart, you can see we have a reversal structure that was in place right here just from yesterday. And we set in some nice divergence right here on the 240 chart, as well as on the next higher chart, the 480 chart, and also even the 120 chart. So that caused a nice bounce right back up, and it did essentially basically a 62% retracement of this most recent move down. And we're getting a sell-off of that 62% level. And so what we're probably anticipating here is another move back down to this 1393 level and possibly lower, back down into this 1387 level, which would then complete this reversal structure at the top here on the daily chart and give us at least an equal move down into this 1387, 1385 level. So as you can see, we have on the daily chart, we have a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Looks like we're going to put in a lower high right there at that 1419 level, which coupled very nicely with that 417 or 1418. 62% retracement of this most recent move. And so it looks like we're going to go back down and then retest that 1395 level. Don't know if we'll break that or not, but I would anticipate that we'd move down as low as this 1387 level and then see if we can start to get a setup at that level. So that's kind of what the markets look like from the ES futures side of things. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of the small caps and see what those look like. And here on the Russell 2000, looking at the small cap stocks and the TF futures contract. And looking here at the monthly chart, we've got this flat level that's setting up. That's, again, different from the ES. We've been looking at this for quite a while. We got a third touch. We're pulling back down off of that. We can see that a lot better here on the weekly chart. We are getting the same as the ES. We're getting a nice bullish setup candle right there in the buy zone on the weekly chart. We still have a few days for that to close out to the end of the week. So that could be positive and bullish for us, but no trade signal there. And as we go down to the daily chart, remember last week we drew in this retracement, and we're looking basically for a retracement of this most recent move right here. And we basically got that. It came all the way back down to the 62% level right in there. It didn't come all the way back to 800, but right around that 803 level. And that coupled pretty nicely with that 62% level sitting right around 800. So that's looking pretty bullish there. We have a nice support level right there with a number of touches from the past. So that's been historical support for quite a while. And then as we begin looking at the 240 chart, we can see some of the same things. A little bit of divergence setting in here, but we don't really basically have almost an equal touch right there. So don't really have a lower low in price along with a higher low in the indicators. So really I'd be looking at that as this is the indicators kind of going flat. And so we could get a rollover right here if we get a bearish candle there in the sell zone on the 240, the 120, and the 480 charts. And we could make another move back down into this 803 level. And being that it's looking like we're going to go a little bit lower on the ES futures as well. So that might more than likely take the small caps down along with it. So probably a little bit more of a bottoming structure to go here and a little bit lower in the markets to go before we find a base and start setting up a point where we can actually launch and then start to get long the markets again. So no setup at this point, possibly except to the short side. But keep in mind that we're moving, right down into that 50% retracement level on the majority of the U.S. indices. So you want to temper your any short positions with some of those key levels down there on the ES at like 1385, 1387, and then this 800 level on the Russell 2000. And we haven't taken a look at crude oil in a while, but we're looking at some of the higher time frames here. Again, we've had this range right here for quite some time, really going all the way back, to 2000. Well, I mean 2009, essentially, when we had the crash in the markets. But we've been around this range of say around 109 down to this lower level here of around 77, 78. And the market's still kind of rolled over here. The moving averages are all kind of crossed over a little bit. And then on the weekly chart, kind of the same thing, just exaggerating that range a little bit here from 77 all the way up to that 111 level. But as you can see, we're starting to get a rollover, and potentially if we get a move lower in crude right here, we could start to see some alignment in the moving averages on the weekly chart. And I'd really only be looking for the market to move back down into this 77 level and be looking for anything more than that, since that's been fairly good support here on the monthly chart. But as we look on the daily chart, we have a nice fanning out of the moving averages, completely rolled over. Everything's in order: the 200, the 50, the 20, the 10. And it looks like we're going to get probably a pullback right back into the moving averages, along with that resistance level that's been fairly good resistance for quite some time, right at that 88 level. So as you can see here on the 120-minute chart, we've got a little bit of a reversal pattern structure in here at the bottom. We've got some slight divergence. You'll see even more divergence on like the 60-minute chart. So that's just saying that the trend here for right now is weakening, and we're going to probably get a little bit of a bounce, and that bounce could pull us right back up into that 88 level, which then would be met with probably a number of sellers coming into the market to then take the market lower, at least back down into that 85 level, 84, if not into that 77 level. So just look for the setup candle here on the daily chart. You can also take a look at setup candles on the 480 and the 240 charts, and then and that could be our signal here to get short oil, and looking for some of these other key levels down there around 85 and 77. So that would be a setup on crude oil. And that would be the wrap up for the week on some of the U.S. indices and a commodity for you. So we'd like to thank you for watching the Open Cry market commentary for the week of October 31st. And we do look forward to speaking to you next week on the Market Update.